Right. Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. It's been a little bit since I've made a video, but I'm going to show you today really quickly about how to set up a resume, do some file management, and some different things in your OneDrive. So the goal with this, if you can see my screen, is to kind of just have files that you are keeping throughout your high school or college career and just having a backup of them. So, like I mentioned, each year at the end of the year, I go through my files. I try to find the ones that I think might be useful either in my professional career as a teacher, so things that I can use as like examples later for future classes, or just anything that I might have done over the year that I can add to my resume for maybe more opportunities if I wanted to teach additional classes at like the college level or something like that. So, what we like when you go into your OneDrive, and if you're not sure how to get to OneDrive, if you look on my screen, you'll see that this is just like a sample folder. I have my files here. But if you are in Microsoft, which in our district we use Microsoft. So if you click up here, it's officially called the app launcher, but a lot of people refer to it as a waffle. When you click it, you're going to see a lot of options for the apps that you have access to. So as you leave school, you may have like a subscription with something like Google Docs, or you may keep your Microsoft 365 subscription. But you generally are going to have things like Word, PowerPoint. So these are the online versions of these apps. Outlook, which is your email, and then OneDrive. So OneDrive is right here. And if you wanted to, like, let's say that you are not already in a Microsoft, like, OneDrive application or site, if you click this plus sign and you're in Microsoft Edge, when you click this here, you'll see these as well. So OneDrive is where, for this assignment, this is where you would want to be. And what you'll do is likely, like you can see here that I'm in my career folder, which I've made for this assignment, but you'll likely see, like in this case, I have my files here, and then I have all of the folders and different things that I've made throughout the years. So I've been teaching for 19 years at this point, so I have lots and lots of files, and I try to just each year make a new folder where I can kind of organize it. And if I need something, I can usually go back. So the first thing is you'll have all of these files, and then eventually, when you scroll down, you'll have any other like files that you haven't sorted into folders. So the way to make a folder is when you click create or upload on this left side, you'll see folder is your first option. And when you create the folder, you can um, give it a name. So I'm just going to call it, because I already have a career folder, I'll just call it career 2. And then you can pick a color for the folder if you want. As for fun, I'll pick this sort of green color, and I'm going to hit create. And sometimes it will show up at the top. In this case, it has not done that, but you can see that it showed up right here. So when I click it, now it is, of course, it's empty. So once I have this folder, I have a few different options. So the things that I would keep from like each high school year, or maybe for, in my case, the a professional like teaching classes or things, would be like my Unity projects that I've done, um, things like Blender files that I've used for teaching, PowerPoints, different things that I've used throughout this year specifically, or that I think really exemplify some of my best work. So much like an online portfolio. So if I wanted to add some files, I'll show you this really quickly. If I hit create or upload, I can make new documents. So I can go here and I can find like new ones. So if I wanted to make like a new essay or something, I could store it here. But I can also create or click files upload. And so what will happen is now I have like this is the screenshots that I've used for all of the like the stuff on the website and for Canvas pages and stuff like that. But what I wanted you to see is like the Unity project specifically. So you can see here, this is the for the videos and stuff that I've made for class. These are the different Unity projects that I have. So I'm going to just take this one as an example. Now I can't take this file as it is right here. So this is a folder. I can't take this and drag this in. I could, if I wanted to go to create or upload and then pick folder. But for a Unity project, sometimes that's 30,000 files. So the best way to go about, like if you have a folder that has a lot of stuff in it, is if you click it, you can right click it and you'll see this option that says compress to. And then what I want to make is called a zip folder. And so what will happen is it'll start to compress that file. It does take a bit, so just be patient. Like with a Unity folder or a Unity file, sometimes it does take, as you can see here, about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes is pretty average for this. And then once it's there, you can just upload that as one file. So I'm going to pause the video for a second and just let this finish, and then I will show you the next step. Okay, so the file finished. You will notice, I noticed this whenever this was compressing, that a lot of times it'll change. So it'll say, like, it might start as it says like 2 minutes, but then it'll go up to 5 minutes, and then it'll say 20 minutes, and then it'll go back to like 2 minutes or 4 minutes. So the time does kind of fluctuate as it's compressing the file. I think in total it might have taken about 4 minutes, but just be prepared for that. When you are compressing a file, sometimes it's not as consistent in terms of what time it says. So now that I have the compressed file right here, so again, I had this one. This is the one that I just did, but I have a couple of other ones too. What I can do is I can hit create or upload, and then I can find the file, or I can just do like this. And I did that demo, and of course, it didn't work. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to hit creator upload, files upload, and I'll just go ahead and go to all of this stuff, which is here. And you can see it's right there. And now I can just pick this one. And you'll see a notification there that it should be uploading. So I'm not sure why that's not occurring. You should, there it is right there. So it was just a little bit delayed, but you can see that it'll say like two operations loading, and then this is the one that so it just had to take a second to catch up, but this is what it would look like. So some other examples that you could pick, if you go back to this, you can also do files upload. And again, let's just say this year I really focused on adding videos for classes. So I have my videos right here. And then these are the videos that I've done for our class. So I can just add this one really quick. And so, like I said, this is a good place to keep those files that you think you may need a little bit later. If I have essays or like my game shows or PowerPoints, things that you really think exemplify what you do well, and some of your best work. That's the purpose of a portfolio. So the one thing to be careful with, is because, like, if I look at my files, I have all of these files, like thousands of files. And so it can easily become like very overwhelming if you have too many files, to just have it as like a place where you keep everything. So this is, like I said, something you do at the end of a school year, where you kind of look over your work and sort of organize it a little better. You don't necessarily need to delete any of those other files if you have the storage space, but it is a good idea to have maybe a more refined selection, so to speak. So for the assignment, what you would be doing is you would just take a screenshot of those files when you went through them on your computer or even in your OneDrive. And I can also show you that too. So if you have a folder, I'll just go back to my files here. And let's say I have this one here and I want to take this and move it to another folder. If you look at a document in OneDrive and you click these three dots, you're going to see this option that says move to, and then you can pick an additional folder. So I can click my files right here, and then I can see like all of the folders maybe that I just made. And then you would have this one. So I can click this, and then I can hit move here, and it will take that file and then move it to the folder that you want. You can also do copy link, or you can do copy to. So maybe you still want to keep it in your general files, but you want another copy of it somewhere, you can do the same thing. Okay. So going back to this is my other career folder I use as an example. Once you've taken your screenshot, the next thing you would do is you're going to make a resume. So I'll show you that really quickly. If you go to create or upload, you're going to go to Word document. It's going to make a document right here. This will be blank. So what you want to make next or what you want to click next is you're going to go to File, New, and then you're going to see Browse Templates right here. And all of the templates, this is going to be a script that you can use. So this is going to be like your AI things. So for instance, if you have like any AI chats that you've done, which I use this occasionally for like help with scripting or refining things, but then you're also going to see your resume samples. So if you don't like any of the ones that are here, you can also go to explore all templates and you can see different templates that are available. I'm going to use this just general classic resume and kind of explain how you would set it up. So if you hit create here, it's going to make this template. It's going to just call it document 12. So it's a good idea to rename it. So you can name it like resume sample, something like that. And then essentially from here, you're filling out your own information. So you would put your name here. This could be for our assignment, it could be the job that maybe you want eventually. Maybe you're actually applying for jobs right now and you wanted to put, like, have this as something you could turn in. So you could put what job you're applying for. Like I said in class, this is the city that you live in. But sometimes it can be really important to put um, if it's in a different city than you live in, you can also put like your address or something else. And then of course, you wouldn't put your actual phone number for this assignment, but this would be your phone number goes, and then, like I mentioned in class, a professional email. Now, for objectives, you will typically change this each time you're going to apply for a different job or position. So this is a general one. Like I said, this is a template. So what I did is I just kind of searched for some samples. So this would be one that I found that you could use as a template. So again, you'd want to base it on, like, this one says motivated professional seeking to leverage X years of experience in whatever skill area you're applying for, and then to put the company's name with the position you're applying for. If you're just starting out, you may not have a ton of experience professionally, but you could still put the experiences that you had here, which is what your resume is. So, a few different things with this. This is meant to describe your responsibilities for the job that you're applying for. So, in this case, this template was for a data scientist, but if you were applying to be like a computer programmer or an artist, um, again, depending if you have experience or professional experience, you could put that. As you just start out with your career, sometimes your experience is like internships and different things, which is still, of course, very valuable. But your goal with these bullet points is to highlight some of your successes, of course, and also kind of explain how that role would help you in the current role that you're applying for. So, like, as an example, when I graduated from college, I had a couple of jobs in college. I worked at a golf course, and I also worked in an office at the college. So if I was applying um, in publishing or something like that, I had an English major, but my professional experience wasn't quite in publishing other than what I did for my classwork. So I could talk about in my office roles how I worked with professors. I helped them with like phone calls, making like calling publishers. I also helped with things like organizing like paperwork. And so when you're starting out with those types of roles, it's important to just explain how, like, what you did in those roles would apply to the job that you are wanting or attempting to apply for your resume. Your education, again, you could put the years you went to school. So if it was, you the year of your graduation, if you have your GPA available, you could put your GPA. And you can see here in this template, they just put the years that they graduated and what degrees they had. And then the other thing that I would suggest is your skills and abilities. These would not necessarily be tied to the responsibilities of this job or career that you had previously, but they could be things that you had learned over the years or interests that you have. The one thing I would say is like if you have management, in this case, it's listing management, but I would also say something like this, describing how you would learn this skill as well as situations. Okay, so as an example, like if you worked at a restaurant, right? Management might not have been your title, but you could describe things in that role where you were managing aspects of the business. Maybe you were working with other people and managing a team. So if it wasn't a specific job title, like if you weren't the restaurant manager, but maybe you helped out with management and organization, then describing that here kind of helps with this description here. So this section, if you're wanting to fill this part out a little bit more detailed, is your professional responsibilities and experience. But this is where you have some opportunity to describe the different things that you did that maybe weren't part of the official role, but that you learned while you were working. Or again, maybe they're things that you gained just through your interests. So, as a game and simulation teacher, besides teaching my classes, I also help run like district tournaments. And so I could talk about, even though that's not part of the official job title, I could talk about how I learned how to run tournaments, manage brackets, advertise, all of those things just as part of like the interests and the things that um, deal with gaming but aren't specifically related to teaching gaming, if that makes sense. So, your goal with a resume is generally to be about 1 page front and back. That doesn't mean that you have to completely fill it out. So you can kind of manage spacing here a little bit too. Like if I wanted to make this a little bit more clean, like on the front page only, then I could do that here as well. So again, the goal with this assignment is to get you started thinking about how to like fill out a resume, what kind of things should go on a resume, how you can present those things to be, when you're applying for those professional roles and you're going throughout your career, this can be a good way to um, get those files organized so that when that dream job does become available, you're able to apply for it right away. You have everything you need. And like I said, with those types of positions, like where you're really excited about, the sooner you can apply, the better. So I hope that this was helpful. Again, there's a lot of different templates here. Like there's this one, which I think is really good too. But there's a lot more words, but you can see that it gives you a lot of area to sort of explain what kind of roles you had and describe the different responsibilities you had. So it's really just based on preference for what you're most comfortable with, what you feel like exemplifies you the best. So again, I hope this was helpful and I hope you have a good weekend.